in love. This power of love gonna set us free. This power of love. If we believe in this power of love, this power of love will bring us peace on earth. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. Let us rejoice. There is power in love. This power of love embraces all mankind. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. If we could love, there would be peace on earth. Brethren, let's unite, cause there is power in love. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. There is no peace anywhere in the world, cause people on earth do not believe in love. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. There would be no wars if we could stay in love, cause spiritual love is what we need on earth. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. It is not by chance that we should all be here. Brotherhood is love, we congregate in love. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. Love is the key to spiritual harmony. Let the human race invest in the power of love, cause this power of love gonna set us free. This power of love is gonna set us free. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us free. People all over the world, people all over the world, people all over the world, there is power in love. This power of love gonna set us free. This power of love gonna set us free. People of the world, there is power in love. This power of love is gonna set us
Welcome back. You're still watching Regnum Continuous Legal Education on Starcross Television. And of course, in this episode, we are on the course of looking at the biblical and legal interpretation of love your neighbor as you love yourself. So our resource person here, our erudite and learned, should I say learned colleague? Senior learned colleague, he has been able to justify on what or who is a neighbor, what is love, and of course
That is only when you have been called to the bar.
yes,
That you
okay,
can
that I can actually refer to
me
that.
as a
But
senior
who
learner.
knows? I can be called to bar tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Okay, so we also looked at the principle of, as expounded by Donok and Stevenson, and we have under that we have looked at negligence and, of course, negligent misstatement.
Yes.
Now let's look at the aspect of public and private misuse.
Yeah.
Oh, nuisance,
nuisance.
sorry,
Yeah, that
nuisance.
refers, public nuisance simply refers to an action or situation that unreasonably interferes with the public right of use and enjoyment of public property and public space.
All right, so in an issue, okay, go on, you have something.
When we're talking about public nuisance, we are looking about obstruction of highways, pollution of water, loud noise. You see, like in today's world, you go to a two-story building, and then at the top floor, you have Mouth of Fire, Miracle Ministries. The first floor is Throat of Fire, Miracle Ministries.
Okay.
The ground floor is a Tongue of Fire, Miracle Ministries. They all bring out loud
So proliferation of churches and
loud speakers, and then there is so much loud noise. Some of them may believe that those ones that are in, let me say, at 8 miles, will believe and know that God is living at Ikaika. And then those in Ikaika will believe and know that God is at 8 miles. And so the sound is deafening.
okay.
We are now saying that under the law, that is what is called public nuisance.
Okay.
It's an action against public health, societal public health. And then we have operation of lawful businesses like smoking dens and brothels. That is for prostitutes.
So let's be civil.
Public nuisance. And then we have emission of dangerous fumes and smoke into residential areas. That is still public nuisance. And then we keeping of dangerous animals. You will see an intersection of this when we'll be talking about the rule in Ryland and Fletcher. All these are public nuisance.
Okay.
And again, public nuisance is a crime under Section 234 of the Criminal Code Act, as well as Section 192 and 194 of the Penal Code Act in Nigeria. So far, that I have not been able to, find out what happens in other jurisdictions. But for Nigeria, it is a crime against public health.
Okay, but in Nigeria, Nigeria, we have noticed that today we still have so many churches. For example, if you go to street, maybe you're passing along one street, you can see about 3 to 4 churches there, and they are coexisting very happily and doing their things very happily. So now, my question is, why is it not? Why is this law not enforced in Nigeria? Because it looks like it's not actually working. Because in a situation where I believe these churches also have this, they go to Corporate Affairs Commission to register, if I'm not wrong. Okay. You understand? So why don't they get to know? Okay, this street. If you are registering, you have to give your address.
No, I think you are wrong there.
Okay, correct me, please.
What happens is that the registered office is what the Corporate Affairs Commission knows about. For instance, if we say XYZ Church, the Corporate Affairs Commission knows, let's assume it's Ikaika.
Okay.
But they have branches. It is at the point of the branches that the problem may become conspicuous. Because that is where they can just, okay, we don't have a church in this street. Let us just have, even if it is a room.
No.
And that is when you have the proliferation of the churches there. But when it comes to the headquarters may not have a problem, because at the end of the day there may not be so many. The commission have taken due diligence to find out that there are not so many churches on that street, and in most cases it is usually a big environment that is allocated to them. For instance, when I was going down there, I saw that big, that church that is very big.
Okay.
Let me not mention the name.
Of course, please.
So that kind of church may not become a nuisance. But it is the ones that are in 1, 1, 2 rooms.
So who calls these people to order? how do the law come into play to say,
The
okay,
public
maybe
health
any
officers,
enforcement, okay,
the public health officers, there is a Public Health Act, and there are public health laws in every state of Nigeria. It is that duty falls under the portfolio and purview of the public health officers. But don't forget that once they mention the name of God, everybody is afraid to go and do anything, because touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. Everybody looks at it from that, and so that is why that law may not really see the action that should be given, because people are afraid of maybe attacking God directly by going to close down one of his branches.
Okay, so now in the issue of, you talked about maybe bad water, you know, constituting public nuisance, if I'm not wrong. Yes. Maybe there's a refinery in this place, okay, and you know, the smoke and everything is also affecting the person, the individuals or people, residents, or even
aquatic life.
Yes,
even aquatic life.
So now, who is held responsible when such issues happens?
When we get to that point, I will answer you, but you
can still give me a peripheral answer on that.
When there is a principle of law, of environmental law. When we get to that point, we'll discuss it. But it is the polluter pays the principle, pays the price.
So in a situation where the government is at fault, let's just put it that way, do they still convict them?
When the government is at fault, then the individuals, the persons that have been affected, the individuals that have been affected can take the government to court.
Oh,
under section 43 of the 1999 Constitution, any individual that has been affected by action of government has the right, under section 36 subsection 1 of the 1999 combined with section 43, any individual that has been affected by the action of government can sue section 6 subsection 6b. In short, let's just say section 6 subsection 6 of the 1999 Constitution, section 36 subsection 1, and then section 43. Anybody that has been affected by the action of government can take the government to court.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much.
And then when it comes to the church, I was trying to explain what should have happened. Now, there is what we call notice of abatement. Notice of abatement, why I said that it is the public officer, the public health officer that has that duty, is supposed to issue a notice of abatement to that building, to that person.
Notice of abatement?
Abatement.
Okay, what does it say?
Notice of abatement of nuisance.
Okay.
Please, your loudspeaker is too loud. Remove it from the public space.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that notice of abatement is what triggers all the action that is supposed to be taken. But like I said, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm.
But then I have the question I have still on that church aspect is we have still let's just use Nigeria for example. Okay. Under the Nigerian fundamental human rights, we have rights to worship. So now, let's just say maybe there are different churches and people are all congregating, worshiping in that church, and you as a person, maybe you are saying, oh, they're constituting nuisance. Don't you think it's also, don't you think that also there's also a problem there? You as an individual standing up to say, oh, because there are different denominations or religions here that are constituting nuisance in the environment.
What does section 38 of the 1999 Constitution say? Section 38 of 1999 says no religion in Nigeria will be adopted or taken or used as state religion. Yes, there is no state religion in Nigeria.
So all is subject to the law.
All of them are subject to the law.
Okay.
Whoever wants to operate a place of worship, there is freedom of worship. But whoever wants to operate a place of worship will do that in agreement with the laws of the land when it comes to the mode of worship. Okay. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Now let's look at the rule in Ryland and Fletcher.
The rule in Ryland and Fletcher, I think what we should do is, the rule in Ryland and Fletcher is very simple. It's a rule of strict liability. It's a rule of strict liability. And that law, as propounded by Blackburn J. Blackburn J, in the case of Ryland and Fletcher, was propounded the view that he that collects and keeps any object, whether dangerous or otherwise, that has the propensity to escape, to cause damage, that the collector, the keeper of that object, is strictly liable for the damages that has occurred. Now, the rule in Ryland and Fletcher operates under two different dimensions. One of them is the non-natural user of land, or the non-natural use of the land. And then the other one is liability for animals. So a man that decides to keep a python as a pet that ends up swallowing someone is strictly liable for that action.
Wow.
A man that decides to keep a dog as a pet that ends up biting somebody, you know the venom of the dog, and it results in damage or death, is strictly liable. A man that keeps cattle and that cattle escapes, there is actually an exception when it comes to cattle. All the land that is adjoining the road are exempted. Let's assume that the man is, telling the cattle, they normally speak.
Yes, of course.
The cattle keep going, and then some of them branch off and then spoil something by an adjoining road. That is an exemption.
Wow.
But if they go in deep from that highway, the owner of that cattle is strictly liable
for any damages that must have occurred.
Yes, it is a rule of strict liability that was propounded by Blackburn J in Rylands versus Fletcher in 1868. The citation for that case is 1868, Law Reports 330. 1868, Law Report, House of Lords 330. That was where he propounded, and that decision was accepted, at the Supreme Court, that yes, anybody that collects and keeps any object that escapes, whether it is water, like in that case, I think it was water that escaped from a reservoir and caused damage, that the person that owns, because that water collecting and escaping is a non-natural use of that land, that person is strictly liable
for what happened,
for what has happened.
Okay.
And then that extends, the same extent to liability for animals, like we have said. The man is keeping goat, the man is keeping dog, the man is keeping cat, he's keeping python, he's keeping lion. If any of those animals escape from that place that he keeps and then causes damage in an adjoining land, in a neighborhood, the owner of that animal is strictly liable.
Okay.
Whether or not it was his fault, it is a no-fault liability.
So it is believed that he should have, or
taken
it is his
precaution.
Responsibility to have taken precaution
that
to
protect
the life of other people.
Yes, that animal or that object doesn't escape to cause damage in the neighborhood.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, sir. So we are still talking about the biblical and legal interpretation of love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you are watching this program, this is a live broadcast. You can watch us via YouTube or our Facebook page. And of course, our phone line is displayed on your screen. So make sure you send in your questions, or if you have comments, please feel free to call in or type, go to our Facebook page or our YouTube page and comment on our comment section, and we will definitely read them out or do justice to your question. So while waiting for that, let's continue. Now let's look at the precautionary principle in environmental law. Yes, you said we'll still talk about that.
It's just like the rule in Ryland and Fletcher.
So let's look at it in a broader aspect.
Yes, it's just like the rule in nuisance, public and private nuisance, and the rule in Ryland and Fletcher. There is an overlap. Okay. Now, when it comes to precautionary principle, this was articled in the Rio, Rio de Janeiro, I think that is in Brazil, Rio Declaration on Environment and Development in 1992. Now, the precautionary principle in environmental law refers to and mandates the taking of proactive and preventive action against potential environmental harm, even when scientific backing is lacking. Even when scientific backing is lacking. The man that is making a non-natural use of the land, remember the rule in Ryland and Fletcher, is expected to take proactive and precautionary measures to ensure that whatever is doing does not affect the neighborhood. Now, it essentially means that there should be no threat of serious damage to the environment, and so every measure should be taken to avoid it. Now, the precaution should include regulations on harmful substances, you understand, and then protecting endangered species. Remember the rule in Rana and Fletcher, addressing climate change dynamics. Those are some of the things that the precautionary principle is talking about, that you should, in fact, the one word that has been lacking in that definition is innovation. Once you know that you are embarking on a non-natural use of the land, that your action can affect the environment.
You should also think of the safety tips.
Yes, you must innovate on what can actually quell the harm that is expected from that action. That is the precautionary principle. And I said it became an aspect of international law in 1992 at the Rio Declaration on the Environment and Development.
Okay, so now let's look at the polluter pays principles. What does it also say?
That one is very simple. The polluter pays principle simply states that tax money should not be used to handle environmental degradation, provided the person or body or organization that is causing the environmental degradation is known. So if I am drilling oil, I am an oil producing company, tax money should not be used to go and, take care of oil spillage. I am the one that is drilling oil. I am the one that should pay and ensure that, they should be mop up, they should be clean up. I should take precautions to ensure that the environment is, put back in the nature, way and manner before my industrialization. And that was adopted at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in 1971, and it was later incorporated into international law that once you are into any form of mining, and that mining will later on constitute a health hazard to the environment, that person is responsible. You remember the lecus classicus of all this is the 12 smelter case, arbitration case of 1941. Don't even forget that a place like Japan, in Hiroshima, because of the atomic bomb. Yes, you understand. These were the beginnings.
The 9/11 attack, or all parts of it. Okay.
Yes, that was the beginning, the genesis of the world now realizing that as a result of our action or the action of a person, that the entire world, you understand, can lose out on climate, what we call greenhouse gas emissions, that we can lose out on it. And once the environment is affected, that means that everybody is at the peak or at the verge of losing it all, because a little drop of pollution in the water can kill all aquatic life. It can poison aquatic life. Somebody may go fishing, get the fish and eat it, which has been stopped. They normally use gamalin 20 for fishing.
Oh, wow.
But by the time they realize that gamalin 20 actually poisons the fish, and the human being ends up eating that fish. So those were when you understand, when we're talking about the precautionary principle, that is when those precautions come in. And when necessary, the man that does cause the pollution
has to pay for it.
Has to pay for the cleanup or for the damages that has been caused by his action.
Okay, all right. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. And I believe that our audience, even if they haven't sent in their questions, they are all following with the discussion. Yes. All right, so now let's look at the benefits of the neighborhood. Okay, we have a call so far. Hello, greetings to you. Hello, can you hear me? What's your name and where are you calling us from? Okay. All right, please do well to call in again. We are still talking on the topic, the biblical and legal interpretation of love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so far, a lot have been discussed, and I believe that you watching, you should have one or two questions to add up to what we are saying, or comment to add up to what we are saying. Now, let's proceed to the benefit of the neighborhood principle to customary law, looking at the international or customary international law and global governance.
Yeah, and it is the no harm principle. As a result of having to protect the environment globally, the international community developed the no harm principle. The no harm principle is simply to the effect that various jurisdictions, various sovereign states, sovereign nations, we call them member states, to the international community, should do, like we were trying to explain, should seek utere tuo ut alienum non ledis, should use their property in their jurisdiction so as not to harm the other person, to harm the next state, the next nation, the next country. And now the no harm principle was established in the Trail Smelter Arbitration case of 1941. I tried to explain that, and has become enshrined in various international conventions and agreements, such as the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change of 1992. We have the 1992 Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Water Courses and International Lakes. We also have the 1997 Convention on the Law of Non-Navigational Uses of International Water Courses. There is also the Kyoto Protocol of 1997, and then we have the 2015 Paris Agreement. All this agreement is aimed at ensuring that the environment is properly protected. And then under international law, there is a cooperation, a form of cooperation, an agreement between the states. Don't forget that the principle of international law is pacta sunt servanda, which is treaties are to be obeyed. And so now the no harm principle places obligation on sovereign governments to prevent harm from activities within their borders from escaping. Don't forget about the rule in Ryland and Fletcher, from escaping from their own jurisdiction to neighboring principles.
So now in terms, sorry, because we are all working with time. So in terms of, let's say, the bomb invention, that you know that they have been used, bomb, is it missile weapons they call it? They have been using to,
atomic energy.
Yes, atomic energy to be affecting, maybe exchanging issues like the Cold War issues, even recently, where we have so many countries still on the international borders, fighting and exchanging this. Don't you think they have already breached the aspect of where you said treaties are to be, respected?
They have not. They have not breached. For instance, there is an International Atomic Energy Association.
Okay.
Now, that body is an arm of international law and community that goes about inspection all nuclear energy sites in the world. For instance, the war that is going on somewhere, maybe in Russia and Ukraine, for instance, let's use that because it's a live case. Russia has nuclear weapon. Ukraine may not have a nuclear weapon, but they have an ally that has nuclear weapon. But so far, none of those nuclear weapons have been released, because the International Atomic Energy Association is ensuring they have representatives in all the countries that have elements of nuclear weapons or atomic energy. They are ensuring that that is not used, based on the no harm principle of international, customary international law.
So in a situation where one state decides
they can use bombs.
Okay.
You understand? But once it comes to atomic or nuclear,
affecting people's
that
lives,
would have the propensity to escape from Ukraine into a neighboring country, because that is what will happen once it is released. It can enter into maybe like 10-15 neighboring countries, and then the air is ubiquitous, it is universal. The air will now carry it around the entire globe, and it will affect everybody. So they have so far, the International Atomic Energy Association have so far not allowed the use of such weapons. But if it is bomb, they can bomb the place. It doesn't have, if it is gunshot, they can shoot. It doesn't have, though God is against all those forms of vices, you understand. But when it comes to weapons, what we call weapons of mass destruction, that the international community is safeguarding the use of such weapons, just like the one that was used in Hiroshima in Japan in 1945. The international community, the United Nations Security Council, and other international associates are against the use, and that is the benefit of the no harm, the no harm principle in the international customary, or the customary international law.
All right, thank you so much, sir. That was beautiful, and I love the fact that you took your time to explain it very well. Now let's look at the available remedies provided by different jurisdictions for breaching and of course causing injuries on other persons.
Yeah, strict liability. The rule in Ryland and Fletcher. That was a live case. And Blackburn J said, in as much as you accumulated and kept an object that escaped to cause damage, you are liable. So the same applies to the state parties.
Okay.
State parties are liable for accumulation of objects that escape to cause. Don't forget about the trail smelter case. The fumes, you understand, of mining escaped into another country to cause damage, and they were held liable. Vicarious liability. Like when we were talking about pollution, and you said, what does the citizen? And I said, under section 6, subsection 6, under section 36, subsection 1, and under section 43, for instance, in Nigeria, that the individual that is affected by such pollution that may have affected his aquatic, financial life can maintain an action. And the government, let's assume that it is not really the government that actually took the action. Let's say an oil company that the government licensed to take that action. You can sue the government together with the oil company, and they are both jointly and severally liable for that action. The polluter pays principle is another available remedy, where the polluter
has to pay for the damage,
and embark on what we call in law a restitutio in integrum. Ensure that there is a restitution, that society is put back, either financially or otherwise, in the situation they will have found themselves. Let's assume that they were fishermen all over. You have to compensate every family in that society so that they can have a means of livelihood. Then we have payment of damages that can be ordered by the court. You have injunction. The court can order an injunction that mining activity that is causing pollution should be stopped. You can have public apology.
Oh, wow.
The court can also order a public apology in a situation where it was a negligent misstatement.
That one is usually maybe if the government is the one causing that harm.
No, individuals. Individuals, the court gives the individuals order. You understand? For instance, the case we were handling at hand last time.
Okay.
If the court is approached, they can order the people that are causing that harm online to give public apology on that very platform.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes, and
Okay.
I might even come.
But that relates more to cyberbullying, or
No, the law is you see, when you talk about cyberbullying, we are looking at defamation
okay
on the internet.
Okay.
It is primarily defamation. If it was spoken, it is primarily slander. You understand? So we are only looking at it that it came through that medium. You understand? If it is written in a newspaper, it is the same effect as on the online platform. It is, if it is written in a book and somebody read it, it has the same effect, because you have sent out a negligent statement against someone that was not verified, which eventually is now being verified, and the person is now seeking restitution.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So before we call it a wrap, now let's look at, because we have been talking about love your neighbor,
Yes.
and of course looking at other aspects of it. Now let's look at the limitations. Let's just say, at what point can
Yes.
we say the principle of love your neighbor as you love yourself may not apply? So let's look at some of those limitations.
When there is a commission of a criminal offense.
Okay.
When there is
Elaborate on
when there
that.
is a commission of a criminal offense, don't forget that a criminal offense is an offense against the state, not the individual. So if I use a knife and cut your hand, I have not committed a crime against you.
Okay.
Criminally, it is against the government of Cross River State.
But I am an individual person.
Yes, but the government
You hurt me.
The government of Cross River State. When you
Okay.
look at chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, where the derivative principles of state policy, your security is the paramount importance of government. So if I cut you now,
Not my
I
hand.
have if I cut you now, or even use my laptop to hit you,
Okay.
that is what we call assault. I have committed a crime against the government of Cross River State, where you are sitting now.
Okay.
And so it is the government of Cross River State that will come after me for taking that action. Then at that point, the only thing that you do is that you are the complainant. But let's assume that the person that I hit dies, and the person is no longer there to say, I am the complainant, let's forget about this case. The government goes ahead to prosecute the matter to conclusion and sentence the person.
Wow.
Yes. So at that point, there is a divergence between what we call love and
Justice.
justice.
Okay.
I mean, and love. And love.
okay.
Yes. So at that point, it is justice. Because the family of the person that has died are crying out for justice.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the man that may have died, if he were alive, would have said, I love him, just forget about it.
Okay.
But since he's no longer there to preach the love, the government may not understand the love, and they go ahead to prosecute
The
conviction.
person. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So now let's look at Father's teachings, the Holy Father, His Holiness Olumba Olumbabu's teachings on this love your neighbor as you love yourself. I feel that will actually take a discussion to a conclusive end.
Hebrews chapter 13 verse 1 says, let brotherly love continue, and be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for some have in so doing unknowingly entertained angels. And if I want to dwell a little at that point, during the period of Abraham, when Abraham was alive, there was a man living in his neighborhood by name Melchizedek. Abraham went for a war of the Chaldeans. He recognized him and came and paid tithes to him. You understand? And if we come back to Hebrews gospel, Hebrews says that Jesus Christ is a priest in the order of Melchizedek. Now my question is, who was Melchizedek? Now Hebrews chapter 13 from verse 1 to 3 is bringing to the fore that next man that is living close to you may actually be God. And now for you to be able to worship that God, brotherly love is what, don't forget what Abraham did. He had to see 3 men just passing and say, come and eat. They went in there, for those that say God is not a human being, they went in there in flesh to eat. You understand? Only for it to turn out that this is God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And what they have been asking for years was given to them on a platter. Don't forget, everybody pray and pray and pray. Look, the truth about prayer is that if you do not touch the hem of God's garment, you don't get what you want. You must practice the teaching. And that was why in Acts chapter 10, Jesus Christ sent Peter to go and bring Cornelius. And Peter said, no, this man is a Gentile. He said, no, that Cornelius has done everything I have been teaching you to do. Go and bring him. So there is no Jew, there is no Gentile. The kingdom of God is just like WAEC certificate. Nobody asks you where you schooled. What they want is 5 credits. You were in a place in the bush, you have 5 credits, you are admitted into the university. You were in federal government college, no 5 credits, no admission. Okay. It's as simple as that. Okay. So for those of us that want to see the kingdom of God, let brotherly love continue. So another teaching of our Holy Father is that before Jesus Christ left this world, he had promised to prepare a place for us. Don't forget that promise. He said, I go to prepare a place for you. Now let us contrast that promise with Revelation chapter 21. That says the tabernacle of God is with men. And if you go to Revelation 19, it says that the man clothed in a vesture dipped in blood is the word of God. And who is the word of God? The man clothed in a vesture dipped in blood. Okay. Now, if you go down, you will now find out that the man clothed in a vesture dipped in blood has prepared a tabernacle for us. And if you go to Revelation chapter 22, I think verse 15 or thereabout, it says that if you are ready and willing, you should walk through the gate of that city and enter therein. Let us be very mindful, because just another Noah's Ark is about to be closed. I have the belief, sincerely so, that another Noah's Ark is about to be closed. And I will enjoin everybody all over the world, whatever kind of species of person, whatever kind of being you are, be conscious of the fact that once this gate to that city promised in Revelation chapter 22, verse 13 to 15 is closed, that the effect that was felt in Noah's period may well not be their portion this time around.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Brother Kenneth Itora Abasi. Yes. Thank you so much. That was a very beautiful moment with you for, digesting, or is it dissecting or the topic, the biblical and legal interpretation of love your neighbor as you love yourself. A teacher would say, if I teach and all the students do not ask the question, that means they all understand what I taught. So I believe that for all our audience who are out there watching, you have learned something from this. Yes, in everything we have discussed. So wherever business your business is situated or wherever place your business is situated, know that your property shouldn't cause harm to other persons. Let brotherly love exist. Thank you so much. This is how far we can go on this very episode, and we believe that come next week we will bring you more interesting topics. So make sure every Friday you stay glued to Star Cross Television for the Regnum Continuous Legal Education. Until next week, I am Peace Smith. Bye for now. Do enjoy the rest of the program.